5 reasons why online education might just be the right option for you guys. First of all, if this is the first time you've come into this channel, then please subscribe. And if you find any value in this video, then give us a thumbs up. Now, I'm sure y'all have seen a lot of videos on the benefits of online education, and majority of it is standardized or vague or generic, flexibility in timing, access from anywhere. But I want to tell you all something which I feel might fall under some of those points, but our students have actually told us, and I'm going to share at the end a secret for me which has sort of validated this feedback from customers. Point number 1, be trained by the best faculties. Now, back in 2015, when we were completely offline, I realized that we were restricted to obviously finding enough people who could teach ACCA back then, which was already a very small quantity. And then within them, we just had to make do with whom we had. Now, obviously, it's very obvious when I say you have access to the best faculties. But here's the other point. Over time, we were able to not only get faculty members from all over the country, but we have those from other countries as well, who are such good faculty members and in a way so expensive also, that our students would never have the access to them, which in turn would mean, forget the learning. These are the faculties where students have the highest impact. They remember what these stories and these faculty members teach them way more than just the concept itself. They are gaining inspiration from these faculties, and they're able to actually, of course, get the main outcome, which is pass the exams in such a good manner. Plus, these faculties, they saw them as senior. They've cracked the best way to really take notes for students to study in the exam, where they retain the concept and are able to pass the exams in a way that no textbook today or no other faculty who's new can ever compete with. This changes the game for most of our students. Point number 2, flexibility, but not in the way of thinking that, okay, well, I'll study when I want to. Not from that perspective, right? Since we've gone online, we've been able to cater to almost any kind of students, whether they are wanting to study at a particular time on weekends, whether they want to study on after college hours, whether they're working professionals and they want everything pre-recorded, whether we have an exam coming up and we want to disseminate the information to everybody at a particular time. Having, from our end also, having students sit for particular lectures live versus having them watch some of our supplementary videos at their own time, all with the intention that if they do everything we suggest, the passing rate of the batch basically jumps up. We've tested this over the last few years, and time and again, the ability for students to choose how they want to study, when they want to study, and then follow a few rules set by us, the voluntary interest that they now have, energy that they now have, is just much higher. Point number 3, accessibility. We know that, when people talk about accessibility related to the internet, they primarily mean that since geos come, you can go to any region of the country and you will get network because geo is there, right? But it's actually different. We have seen students who are wanting to move overseas for an MBA. We know that there are students who want to basically study for 1 or 2 years in their masters or their MBA in another country, but they don't know for sure if they're going to get admission. So what they do is they start ACCA with us, and what if, or there's actually for that matter start any of the qualifications with us, but then they ask that, what if I get my admission? What will happen to my efforts here? Should I take it or not? Back in the day, some would have taken it up and then struggled to continue it. Some would have just dropped it because their primary goal was their masters or MBA. However, now, they doesn't matter whether they're studying in India and then they move overseas. If they want to, they can always continue. Secondly, if they want to take a break because they want to complete their masters first, that is also fine, because whatever trajectory they are in, the ability to access the learning management system and then continue from where they have basically dropped off, it all becomes highly possible. That is the biggest advantage when we talk about accessibility. Point number 4, the most obvious, revision and recording. The reason, it's obvious is because when you're studying by yourself and you're revising, you're all on your own and you have no option but to depend on the notes you've taken or the books you have and your memory of wherever the live lecture, whatever the faculty was trying to convey, and hopefully you remember that and retain that. Because it's reversed now, right? You can access the recordings at any point. When you revise, you are able to free your mind when you are actually paying attention to something put full focus on that to try and understand concept rather than retain them, because the retention aspect can always happen later during your revision while watching the recordings. Point number 5, a global perspective. Now, earlier I spoke about faculties from overseas, but we have approximately 10% of our overall customers who are also from different countries. You're in the same batch. There is a lot of interaction that not only happens in class, but also we've tried to set up these student discussions amongst themselves for just more than the exam. And there are students who have actually made career decisions. Well, they actually made academic decisions which led to their career by talking to these individuals from another country. So for example, we were having a discussion the other day. One of our students has now moved to Ireland, and Ireland is it accepts ACCA as well as India accepts CA. And because he's relatively young, he's cleared most of his papers, and he's telling all of us that in Ireland, people are actually telling me that my first job will be mostly higher paying than most, because of the fact that I've completed my so many papers, I have only this much left. I'll combine it with the masters I'm doing there, and my ability to basically pick up the first job, I'll be ahead of all my peers. This thought led to somebody else I know who actually started thinking about, okay, should I do my masters in Ireland, because that's the jump that they wanted irrespective. Of course, the student has not yet gone there, but I know that the thought process is so strong because you're getting a perspective from somebody who's just like you, or somebody in your domain, or from another country altogether. And as discussed in the beginning of this video, the one thing which I noticed is in India, across the education sector, since the pandemic opened up, a lot of players who had gone fully online are now struggling to go back offline because the customers want offline. However, either because it's higher education or because it's finance, which is a professional qualification, most of our customers are wanting it online. There has been almost zero, I will say not completely zero, there has been a negligible resistance from most of the customers who end up joining us, or most of the people who even inquire, who did not know we were only online. When they learn that we are only online, we've seen a very negligible dropout ratio. In fact, in 2021, when the pandemic's first wave was over, we had even reinitiated our offline center in Bombay. People took admission, but they landed up staying online and attending, because an offline student will also have the option to study online. So it turned out that through failed experiments as well as data points, most customers who at least are studying in this domain are extremely comfortable and are preferring these flexible options of studying online with more choices, better faculties, and hopefully an end result which is a higher passing rate.